In this video, I'll be showing you how to build a custom Discord bot using Python. This isn't super complicated, it's going to be relatively fast, and we're going to do this in about 100 lines of code. I'm going to show you how to set this up, how to connect to Discord, how to get all of the tokens, then I'll show you various different things you can do with this bot. For example, I'll show you how to respond to various events, like an onReady event when the bot signs into the server, when new members join, when any message is sent, and things like various commands, so typing hello, assigning various roles, and even throwing custom error messages. Let's have a quick look at my Discord server here where I'm just testing this out, and you can see some of the things that I've set up. So what I did is I actually added this role called gamer, and if you use the pound or the exclamation point assign command, it will assign you that role. And then if you were to use the command remove, it would actually remove that role from you. And then based on if you have that role or not, you can use a command like secret. And if you don't have access to secret, then it will say, hey, you can't use this. But if you were to assign yourself the role again, and then type secret, you'll see here now that we're able to use this secret zone. So just a quick example. Also something like DMs, you can say DM and then, hello world. And if we do this, it will actually send ourselves a DM from this bot. Go back, we can just do something like reply to hello, and then you'll see that the bot will actually reply to this message. And then we can do something like make a poll, is Tim the best, for example. And if we look here, we can see that we have a poll with the different reactions. Last thing that I set up is kind of like a swear word filter. So if you were to use a bad word, the bot will detect that and automatically remove the message and then tell you, hey, don't do that. Obviously, there is so much stuff that you can do with what I'm going to show you in this video, but that's the kind of bot that we'll create, which will cover most of the fundamentals of this Discord library. With that said, let's get into it. Now, I will mention that there are a few setup steps here because in order to authenticate with Discord and have a bot, we need to set up a few different things. So please follow this carefully. Make sure you go through all of the steps, and any of the code that I write in this video or links that I mention will be in the description so you can reference them there. Now, in order to build this Discord bot, we're going to be using something called discord.py. Now, this is the most popular library for building Discord bots in Python, and we're going to be using the modern async/await syntax, so doing this in an asynchronous way. If that doesn't mean anything to you, don't worry, I'll explain it as we go through. Now, the documentation is very good, and I recommend referencing this if you want to create something more complicated, but I'm going to speed run you through this and get you set up as quickly as possible because there are a few things that can go wrong that obviously I want to help you do if you're watching this tutorial. So we're going to leave this documentation open, and I will reference this, but first things first, we're just going to set up our project and install the Python dependencies that we need. So what we need to do is we need to open up a new folder. So right now I'm working inside of PyCharm, which is my IDE of choice for writing code in Python. And you can see that I've made a new folder. Now you can use any editor that you want, just make sure you open up a new folder or directory for this project. Now, if you do want to use PyCharm, you can use this for free, but I also have an extended free trial of their pro subscription, which you can check out from the link in the description because I have a long-term partnership with PyCharm. That's because PyCharm really is just the best editor for professional Python development. And I do want to make you aware that they actually have an AI coding assistant as well. So they have this thing called Junie. It's relatively new. It's similar to other coding assistants that you may have seen before. It works directly inside of PyCharm and can take advantage of the IDE features like linting, for example, documentation, etc. So I might use this throughout the video. Just want to mention, again, it's called Junie here, and I just installed it as an extension in PyCharm. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We're inside of the editor here, and what I'm going to do is start making a few files. Now, the first file that I'm going to make is called requirements.txt, and inside of here, I'm just going to list the requirements that I need for this project to work. So for that, I'm going to do discord.py. That's the first one that we need. And then the next one we need is going to be python.env. Okay, now while we're here, I'm going to make another new file. This file is going to be called .env, and this is going to store a environment variable, which is going to be the Discord token, which we need to control our Discord bot. So inside of this file, we're just going to get it set up. We're going to say Discord token in all capitals is equal to, and then we're just going to leave that empty for right now, and later we'll fill that in. Okay, we're almost done. Last thing I'm going to do is make one more file, this time a Python file called main.py. Okay, so we've made a main file. This is where we'll write our code. We have an env file for our secret token that we need for Discord, and then requirements.txt, which specifies the requirements for this Python project. Now, the next step is to install these requirements using pip or using any package manager that you want. So what you're going to need to do is open up your terminal or your command prompt, and inside of here, you're simply going to type the command pip install -r and then requirements.txt. Now this is going to reference the requirements.txt file that you just wrote. The -r just means we're providing this requirements.txt file, and it's going to install anything that's inside of here. Now, if you are on Mac or Linux, you can change this to say pip3 install. And when you do this, just make sure that your command line or your terminal is in the correct directory where this requirements.txt file is. So we're going to hit enter. This should install the requirements for us. And now that we have it installed, we should be good to go. And when we use Python to run our code and to start our bot, everything should be good. All right, so let's move on to the next step here, which is setting up our Discord developer account. Now we need this account in order to actually create a Discord bot and to invite it to servers. So let me open up that URL and I'll show you what it is. All right, so this is the page right here, discord.com/developer/docs/intro. There's probably other pages that you can access this from, but this is the one I'll link in the description. Now from here, what you're gonna wanna do is sign in with your Discord account or create a new one if you wanna do this under a different Discord account. And what we're gonna do is go to applications. Okay, so we want to go to discord.com/developers/applications. Inside here, if you already have a Discord developer account, again, you're going to have to make that account first for this page to work properly, or at least sign in with your Discord. You should be able to create some applications. Now you can see that I actually already have some applications because I've made some Discord bots in the past, but what we're going to do here is simply press on new application. Now, when we do this, we're going to give it a name. So I'm just going to call this, YouTube_tutorial or something. And then I'm going to do it under my personal team. But obviously, you could have teams and you could have multiple people working on the same Discord developer kind of project or application. So I'm going to press on create and we have to go through this CAPTCHA. So let's solve this. And what we need to do here is set up our Discord application, and then we can connect to it from our Python code. Now from this page, you can change a bunch of stuff about your application, right? So you can change the icon, the name, and you have things like, how many servers this is installed in, the terms of service, privacy policy, etc. Now what we're focused on mostly is the bot. So we're gonna click on the bot tab here, but keep in mind, there's a lot of other stuff that you can mess with here. I'm not gonna cover everything in this video. So I'm going to go to bot. Here's where you can set the bot icon. This is the one that you would actually see in the server. You can change the username, and what we're interested in is this token. So first, make sure public bot is checked. Okay, and then we're going to copy this token, and the way to do that is we're simply going to reset the token. It's going to show it to us. We are going to type in our authentication code and get the token, and then we're going to put it in our PyCharm env file. Okay, so once you reset it, you should be able to copy the token. So just press that button and copy it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to put that in our environment variable file. Now make sure that you do not leak this token. If you leak this token, anyone will be able to take control of your bot, and they can do some pretty malicious stuff depending on where it's installed. So obviously I'm showing it to you for this video, but later I'm going to delete the token. I'm going to delete the bot so that you guys won't be able to do anything harmful. Okay, so now that we have the Discord token, I want to go back, and there are a few settings that we're going to need to mess with here because this will kind of dictate what our bot is actually able to do. So as we go down here, you're going to see on the bot page that we have a few things like privileged gateway intents. Now, I'm not going to describe intents in too much detail, but essentially anytime your bot wants to do something, it needs to subscribe to you or have access to an intent. Now, every intent has some different permissions associated with it. So for example, if you scroll down here, you can see a list of permissions like send messages, connect to voice, manage nicknames, view the channels, and based on the types of permissions that you want your bot to have access to, you need to enable some of these different intents. Now, in our case, what we're going to need is we're going to need the server members intent, okay? And we're going to need the message content intent. When we enable this, this is going to allow us to receive the messages that most users are sending. It's also going to allow us to look at the number of people that are joining the server and to see when a new member joins the server. Now, if there's something specific that you want to do, you can look up in the discord.py documentation which intent that you need. And there's a page right here called a primer to gateway intents that explains how this works. Pretty much you'll see that any intent you need to enable it for this bot. And then only if it's a privileged intent, for example, if we have access to it within the Discord developer page, are we able to actually subscribe to it? So in this case, we didn't enable the presence intent, so you're not going to see if the bot's typing or something along those lines. So even if we tried to write the bot to access this intent, we wouldn't be able to because this is a privileged intent that we need to enable. I know it's a little bit confusing. It'll make sense later on, but for now, just understand that if something's not working, you probably need to come here and enable one of these three intents. So for now, we're going to save that. So we've enabled the intents that we need. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set up the permissions for our bot. Okay, so now that we've enabled the intents, we're going to go to the OAuth 2 page. And this is where we'll be able to generate a URL to invite our bot to the server. Now, in order to do this, we just need to go to where it says OAuth 2 URL generator, and we need to tick the box that says bot. Okay, that's literally all that we need. We just need to select bot. Now from here, we're going to scroll down and we're going to start ticking the permissions that we want our bot to have. Now we need to do this so that we can tell the server owner what permissions the bot will be using, and they can either accept that or reject that, right? So they know what the bot will be able to do in their server. Okay, so from here, we're going to take a few permissions. We're going to do manage roles, so it can assign and remove roles and create new ones if it needs to. We're going to go with view channels. And anything else, we should be able to read some messages as well, but I think that's maybe all that we need here from this side. Okay, next side, we're going to do send messages. Of course, we need them to be able to do that. We'll say send messages in threads. That's fine, and create public threads. We'll go with manage messages and manage threads so we can delete messages if we need to do that. Embed links, attach files, and read message history are good as well. And then scrolling down, we'll allow to use external emojis and to add reactions. And I think that should be it. We actually will go create polls as well. And then from the voice permissions, I don't think that we need anything. Okay, so once we do that, you're going to see that it gives us this generated URL. So from this generated URL, we're going to press copy. And now we can use this to invite the bot to our Discord server. So what I'm going to do is go to my test Discord server here. I'm just going to go to my member list, and I'm just going to kick this old bot. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this one that we don't need. Now, in order to invite this new one, I'm just going to open up this URL in my browser. Again, I just copied it after ticking the things that I want my bot to be able to do. And you're going to see it says, okay, continue to Discord. So let's continue to Discord here. And it's going to say, which server do you want to add this to? And you can see it says add bot to server and create commands. Okay, and we're going to add this to the YouTube test server. Now, if you're unfamiliar with how to make a new server in Discord, let me show you. And also, again, it shows us the permissions this will have access to. The way that you can do this is you can just go here to this kind of new button once you open up Discord and just make a new server. Once you make the new server, then it's very easy to add this, okay? So I'm assuming you guys figured that out, but I just wanted to quickly mention that. And then you can see that we can actually remove permissions if we don't want the bot to be able to access something. And we'll go ahead and press on authorize. So that has now added the bot to our server. You can see that it's joined. However, it is currently offline. Now it's offline because we need to be running our Python script in order for the bot to be active in the server. So that's the next part that we're going to do, which is starting to write all of the Python code and then testing it continuously inside of here. But the hard part is done. Everything is set up. Now we just need to write Python code, and whenever the Python script is running, the bot will come online, and then we will be able to actually interact with it. And I'll talk to you later at the end of the video on how you could get this to always be online, because there's multiple ways to do that. Okay, so we can leave these pages open. We don't need them this second. And let's go into our main.py file and let's start writing some code, because that's what you guys mostly came here for. So in order to get this bot working, we need to import a few things. So we're going to start by importing Discord. We're also going to say from discord.ext import commands, and you can see the autocomplete is going here. We're also going to import logging, and we're going to say from.env import load.env, and then we're going to say import os. Okay, and then from here, I'm going to type load.env, and what this is going to do is simply load the environment variable file that we've defined. Okay, so we've got our imports. They're grayed out right now because PyCharm grays them out if you're not currently using them. That's actually a good thing, but later, of course, we will. And you can see we imported Discord. We're importing this commands from Discord extensions. We're importing logging. We'll do that so we can actually log the content of what's happening here. And then this module here allows us to load environment variable files. So we have this function, and this will load the current environment variable file. And then we have OS, which will allow us to access that variable. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the tokens. We're going to say token is equal to os.getEnv, and then we're going to get the Discord token coming from our environment variable file. Now we'll keep going here in one sec, but just if you are ever confused on what I'm doing, feel free to use AI assistance. So for example, if you were using Junie, you could switch this over to the ask mode so that it won't generate any code for you rather than the code mode. You could paste this in, you could say, hey, what is this code doing? And then again, it will tell you exactly what's going on, so you can get your questions answered pretty much immediately. So just as an example, you can see we got a response here. It's kind of cool how it does it. It actually gives you a README file that is kind of, formatted so you can read through it. And it explains, step by step what's actually happening inside of the code. Then of course, I don't need to open this, so I can close it and close the README and we can proceed. Okay, so next we're just gonna set up some basic logging for our project. So we're gonna say handler is equal to logging.fileHandler. We're gonna say the file name is discord.log. The encoding is UTF-8 and the mode is W, which stands for write mode. Okay. Next, we're going to start setting up the intents that our bot needs for the Discord. So we're going to say intents is equal to discord.intents. Okay. And then from here, you can access defaults. We're going to say .default like that. And then we're going to specify the manual intents that we need. So we're going to say intents dot message underscore content is equal to true, and intents dot members is equal to true. And the autocomplete is actually so good that it's predicting everything that I want to do here. Anyways, these are the two intents that we need for this specific Discord bot. Every single permission will be included in one of these intents. So if you're wondering like, how do I do this thing or why is it not working? It's probably because you need to manually enable this intent. And as much as it needs to be done on the Discord developer page, you also need to do it in the code. So I get that it's a little bit confusing, but here you're going to specify intents like this, and then you're going to manually enable the intents that you actually need. And if you're looking for a particular intent, you don't know which one you need, then again, you need to go to the documentation here, and you can read about the prime or the gateway intent, and you can see that if you actually click into intents, you can scroll down and you can see what all of the different intents are and which ones are that you can enable. In this case, we did message content and we did members. Okay, so now that we have those intents enabled, we're going to create a bot. Now there's multiple ways to create like a Discord entity or a Discord bot that connects to your server. The way that I'm going to show you how to do it here is one that's set up to very easily use the command prefix. The prefix is like an exclamation point or a pound or a slash or something along those lines to reference the bot. Now, you can do this many different ways, so just keep that in mind. Like there's so many different things you can do here, but what I'm going to do is use something called commands, which comes from the discord.extensions module. So I'm going to say bot is equal to commands.bot. Okay, now inside of this, you can specify a command prefix, and you need to specify the intents that you want this bot to have access to. Now, this is just going to set up a bot, which is very easy to manage here in the code, and you now reference the bot using an exclamation point from the server. So for example, you could say, exclamation point hello, and now you're saying hello to the bot, and it will get picked up here as a command. If you wanted it to be like an asterisk, you change it to an asterisk, and then we would change this here to be an asterisk, okay? So make this prefix anything that you want. You can make it multiple characters as well, but in this case, we'll just keep it the exclamation point. Okay, now the first thing that we want to do for our bot is we want to start responding to some events. Now the three main events that I want to focus on are when the bot is ready, when a new member joins the server, and when a message is received. So what we're going to do is we're going to say @bot.event. Okay, this is a decorator in Python, and then we're going to define a function. Now it's important that you define this using the async keyword. So we're going to say async define onReady. Okay, make sure the function is called exactly onReady. And then inside of here, you can do anything that you want. So we can do something like we are ready to go. And then we're going to say in, and we can do something like bot.user.name, and we can just make this an f string. Okay, so if I make this an f string, now what's going to happen is we're going to go to bot, and we're going to get the bot's user name. There's obviously a lot of other properties that you can reference as well here, and we're just going to print that out, okay? So that we'll be able to see this in the terminal. All right, sorry for the quick cut, but there's one more thing that I just forgot to do, and this is to actually run our bot. So the bot is set up, right? We have bot, we have the bot event that we created, and now we need to run it so that it actually runs when we run the code. So we're going to say bot.run down here, and we're going to pass the token. That's very important. The token is how you access your developer account or your developer application. We're then going to specify our log handler is equal to, and this is going to be the handler that we created, and we're going to say the log level is equal to logging.debug. Okay, now when we do this, any of the debug stuff is going to be logged inside of, this discord.log file. Okay, so now the bot is running, or will be running when we run the code. So what we can do is we can run this. Now, if we go look at our Discord server, we can see that the bot is currently offline. So if the bot comes online when we run the code, this means everything is working. So let's test this out. I'm just going to run the code right here, give it a second to appear, and we should get a print message. It does take a second when we are signed in. And you can see it says, we are ready to go in, YouTube tutorial. Okay, and then if I go here, you can see my Discord bot is now online. Perfect. So the bot is working, it's online, it's connected. Now we want to handle a few other events. So I'm going to shut this down and we're going to go back here and we are going to keep coding. All right, so the next event that we want to handle is is when a new member joins. So I'm going to say at bot.event. Okay, now we're going to say async define, and this is going to be on member underscore join. Make sure you spell it exactly like this because this is the event that we're handling. We're going to take in the member and we're going to say await member dot send, and we're simply going to say welcome to the server. And then if we want to make this an F string, we can say, member dot name. Now, when we do this dot send, it's just going to send them a direct message or a private message. That's how it works. There's other ways where we could send it in a particular channel, but I'm not going to do that right this second. Okay, so we have at bot.event on member join. Now that we have the member join, I'm actually not able to test this because I don't have another Discord account to join the server. But what we can do is we can handle the next event, which is an on message. So I'm going to say at bot.event. I'm going to say async define on underscore message, and this event will trigger anytime any message is sent. So inside here, we can do pretty much anything that we want. Now, the first thing that it's suggesting that we do is we check the message author. So we're going to say if the message author is the bot.user, so our current user or the bot, we're just going to return because we don't want to reply to our own message, right? You can imagine that we could kind of have this infinite loop where if we were applying to our own bot's message, then this would run again every time the bot messages, and we would get kind of, this infinite running going on. Now, what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to apply like a swear word filter. Now, this is just simply to show you how you can manage messages in the server. Obviously, you can change this to be whatever you want, but I'm going to say if this word here is in message.content, and then I'm going to convert this to lowercase using the .lower function in Python. So if it exists inside of the message, then we're just going to delete the message and we're going to tell the user like, hey, that wasn't okay, don't use that. So again, just showing you how we kind of handle these messages. So on the message, if you want to get the author, use .author. If you want to get the content, you use .content, and that's why we need this message content intent. Okay, we check if this word is in the content. If it is, then we're going to say await message.delete, and that's all we have to do. We can just delete the message. Next, we're going to say await message.channel.send, and then here what we're going to do is we're going to put an F string and we're going to say message.author.mention. Okay, now when you do .mention after the author's name or after the author, it's actually going to tag them or ping them in the server. So it's like the @ symbol, okay? That's what the mention means. Then we're going to say, don't use that word, okay? Or like whatever you want to say, right? But we're going to ping them and say, don't use that word. Cool, so that's that. And then the last thing that we always need in this particular event, this is just an exception for this one event, is we need to write this line, which is await bot dot, and same thing here, process commands message. Okay, now what this line does is it just allows us to continue handling all of the other messages that will be sent in the server by anyone else. So you need to make sure that you have this particular command at the very end of this on message event. The reason for that is all of the events that you see here, like on ready, on member join, on message, there's a bunch of other ones that you can use that you can find from the documentation. You're overriding them or you're changing them when you write your own custom one inside of this bot. So the bot by default has a way that it responds to this or uses this, and in this particular event, this function is called, which allows the bot to continue processing the rest of the commands. So we need to make sure that we call this, because if we're overriding the function, then this won't be called. So we need to call it ourselves. Hopefully that makes sense, but it's very strict in the Discord documentation that you need this. So make sure that you have it in this on message event. And inside of here, you can do literally anything that you want. And of course, there's a lot more stuff. I can't show it all in one short video. Okay, so now we're handling the message events. And of course, we should test this. So let's run the code. Let's go back to Discord. Let's see if our bot comes online here in 1 second. It looks like it did. Okay. And I'm going to say something. So I'm going to say, hello world. And okay, nothing happened. I'm going to say the bad word and let's see what we get. The message gets removed. It pings me and it says, don't use that word. Sweet. All is working. Let's proceed to the next thing. Okay, so from right now, I was just showing you events, okay? Something happens, we can override or kind of handle these particular events. There's a lot of other ones, like if a member leaves, if a certain member joins, if a new channel is created, all kinds of stuff you can handle with an event. However, sometimes we want to talk directly to the bot, and we do that typically with some type of command. So in order to create a command, we can say @bot.command. Now, when we do this, the name of the function that we write next is going to be the command. So let me show you what I mean. I can say async define, and then I can do something like hello. I'm going to take in ctx, which stands for context, and then I'm going to say await ctx.send, and then I'm just going to do this, okay? ctx.author.mention. Now, what this does is it creates a hello command. So that means that if I type !hello, then this command will be triggered. What we're going to do is we're going to get the context on what triggered this command. From that, we're able to directly send. When we say ctx.send, what this does is just send back in the current channel wherever this took place. So wherever this was mentioned, that's where we're going to send this. And then we can use an f string and we can say hello and then ctx.author.mention. So we can get the author and we can mention them on whoever triggered this command. All right, so let's try this command. Let's run the code. Let's go here to Discord and let's go !hello. And he says hello @Tim. Okay, command is working. And again, if you want to change the command, then you would change the name of the function right here. Perfect. So let's add another command. And this time let's make it a bit more complicated where we're going to actually assign a role to someone. So we're going to say @bot.command. And this time we're going to say async define, and we'll just call this assign. Okay. Then we're going to have ctx. We're going to say role is equal to, and I'm going to show you how to get a particular role so we can then assign that role to a user. Now, in terms of how you get all of this stuff, a lot of times I do use the AI assistant. So for example, something like Junie here in PyCharm, but you can also just directly reference the documentation to see how do you actually, for example, get a role. And the Discord docs has a lot of examples you can go through, and that's what I went through in order to actually get this to work or to figure this out. So I'm going to say discord.utils, and again, the autocomplete is really good here, .get, and then what we're going to do is say ctx.guilds, okay, or sorry, .guild.roles, and then we're going to say name is equal to, and then the name of whatever the role is that we actually want to assign to this user. So in order to assign the role, we first need to get the role. So in order to get the role needs to exist. So to do that, I'm going to go to my Discord server. So I'm going to go to my Discord server. I'm going to go to the server settings. Okay, you can do that by pressing this button right here. And I'm going to create a new role. So to make a new role, let's just go to roles. And actually, we already have the role because I was testing this earlier, but I made one called gamer. Okay, you could just call it whatever you want, give it some name, but make sure you remember what the name is. Okay, so in our case, the name is gamer. So what I'm going to do up here is I'm going to make a variable, and I'm going to say role is equal to and gamer. Okay, and now I'm just going to use that variable for the name so that we can use it later on. Okay, so role like this. And, oh, we can't use that because that's the same name as this. So let's change this to be, I don't know, secret_role. Okay, and then secret_role. Perfect. So now we have the role. Now that we have it, we can assign it to a user. To do that, we're going to say if the role does exist. So if we are able to find this role and it's valid, we're going to say await ctx.author.add_roles, and we can simply add this role. Then we're going to say await ctx dot, and this is going to be send, and here we're going to do an f string again, and we'll say ctx.author.mention is now assigned to, and then we're just going to go with the secret_role because we already have what that name is. Okay, now that we have that, we're going to put an else statement. So if the role didn't exist, for example, we're just going to say await ctx.send, and then role doesn't exist. All right, so now if we use assign, it should assign this role to the particular user. All right, we can test that out. So let's run the code. Let's go back to Discord, wait for the bot to come online, and let's type exclamation point assign. And let's see if we get this. Okay, and it looks like that didn't work. Okay, did we spell assign incorrectly? Did we do something wrong? Let's go up here. Let's go into our logs and let's see. Okay, so it looks like an error happened here. It said forbidden 403 error, missing permissions. So we may have potentially not had the correct permissions here when we set up the bot. So let's debug this and just make sure that we can get this to work. Okay, so sorry for the cut there, but I was getting some error saying that I didn't have permission to assign the role when I was typing the assign command. So I just went through and debugged this, and I believe the problem is that this gamer role is higher than these bot roles. Now, what we're going to need to do is we're going to have to move these roles or change the hierarchy, and I believe the way that we can do that is we can just go here, and we can drag our bot roles so at the very top. So we want the bot to be above this role because I believe that a role that is lower in the hierarchy cannot change or modify a role that is higher. So we're just moving the gamer role below the bot role, which is YouTube tutorial. So let's save the change there and let's give this a test. So I'm gonna stop this now. I'm going to rerun this. Let's go back to main.py and run this. Okay. Let's go here to Discord. Let's go back to the server and let's try this again. Okay, so assign and let's see if it works. And there we go. It says Tim is now assigned to gamer. And if we click on ourselves, we can see that we have the gamer role. Perfect. Thanks for hanging in there, guys. Kind of a silly mistake, but we fixed it. Okay, so now we have the ability to assign a role. Let's now add the ability to remove a role. So to do that, same thing. We're going to say bot.command. We're going to say async define, and let's just go with remove. Again, let's take in our CTX. Inside of here, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to get the role and then remove it. So we can literally just copy the exact same stuff. And this time, rather than add roles, we're going to change this to remove roles. And we're going to say that has had the secret role removed. Okay. So that's that. This should now remove it from us. Again, let's test this out by stopping it and restarting it. Let's go to our Discord server. Let's go to remove and let's see if it removes it. And it says Tim has had the gamer role removed, and you can see now that my name is no longer red and the role is gone. Cool. Now the whole reason why I wanted to do these roles is because I wanted to show you how we can kind of gate various commands based on a user's role. So what we can do is we can make another command. We can call this one secret. So we're going to say async define secret like that. But before we do that, we can put another decorator and we can say at commands dot has underscore role. And then we can specify the role, which is our secret role. So this is something that you can use that comes directly from here, right? We just imported it from discord.extensions. There's a bunch of other decorators like this. And we can check, okay, does this particular user have this secret role? If they do, we'll allow them to call this. So from here, I'm going to put CTX. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say await CTX dot send and say something like welcome to the club. Okay, because they have the secret role. Now, if they don't have the secret role, I do want to have an error message that kind of shows up telling them like, hey, you can't access this. So there's various ways to do this. But one thing that we can do is we can say at secret.error. Okay, now that's the name of our command, .error. So if an error does occur, so if one of these decorators like throws an error, then we can handle it. So to do that, we're going to say async define secret underscore error. Doesn't matter what you call the function. We're going to say CTX and then error. And then what we can do here is we can say await CTX.send, and we can say you do not have permission to do that. And then if we wanted to, we could print out the error. And actually, if we want to make this more robust, we can do the following. We can say if is instance, and then we can say error, and then commands dot missing role, which is the error that will be thrown. Then we will do this. Otherwise, we just won't do anything. So the point is, there's a lot of stuff you could do here in Discord. It's kind of overwhelming with the amount of things that are in this library, but I'm showing you that if you did have this decorator, for example, where you're like gating something based on a role, if there's some kind of error, now you're not going to be able to handle it in the function, right? Because it's happening from this decorator. So here we can now kind of plug into that. We can handle any errors that do occur before we get into the actual function call. And then we can check what the error is. If it is an instance of missing role, then we can say, hey, you don't have permission to be here. Okay, so let's rerun this. Let's go to Discord and let's give this a shot. And we don't have the role, so let's type the secret command and let's see what we get. It says you don't have permission to do that. Now let's assign ourselves the role. So pound assign, or exclamation point assign, sorry. And now we're gonna say same thing, secret, and it says welcome to the club. Okay, so the role gating is working properly. Sweet, so now we have that. Next thing I'm going to show you is just a few small things that we can do. So for example, how do you send a direct message to someone? So we're going to say @bot.command. This time it's going to look a little bit different. We're going to say async, define, and this is going to be DM. We're going to take in CTX and asterisk, and then we're going to take in what the MSG, sorry, and this will be what they actually typed in. This is the way that you can get whatever happened after the command. So we can just get the message that was written. Now what we can do here is we can say await ctx.author.send, and then we can say something like you said. We can use an F string, and we can put inside of here the message. Okay, so if you're wondering like how do I get the thing that happens after the command, so if they were to type, DM and then hello world, the way that you get that is like this. You put an asterisk, comma, and then message, and now whatever they type, so in this case hello world, will be stored in the message variable. So now if we try the DM, it should send a DM. Now before we test that, let's just quickly add another command. So directly replying to a message, for example. So we can say @bot.command, and then we can say async, define, reply. We can add context. And again, we can say something like await CTX, and then in this case, we're going to say .reply. This will actually reply to the message using the Discord kind of reply syntax, I guess. And we'll say this is a reply to your message. Okay, cool. So now we have the DM and the reply command. So let's shut this down, restart it, and test it out. Let's go to Discord and let's see if we can get a DM. So I'm going to say DM, hello world, and we should get one in 1 second. You see that now the bot DMs us and says, you said hello world. If we go back to our server, where is it? It's up here. Let's go reply to this, and let's see what we get. And it says this is a reply to your message. Awesome. Okay, so all of those are working. Last thing I want to show you is how we create like an embed message. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to say @bot.command. I'm going to say async, define, and we're going to say pull. We're going to take in CTX, asterisk, and then the message again. We'll just call this question this time. Doesn't really matter what you call it. And we're going to create kind of a poll. We'll do that by creating an embedded message in Discord, so it kind of has some nice highlighting, and then we'll add some reactions to it. So we're going to say embed is equal to discord.embed. The title, call this whatever you want. We can do, new poll or something. Okay. The description will be a question. The question is what's right here. And then we're going to say the poll underscore message is equal to await ctx.send, and we're going to say embed is equal to embed. So if you want to send the embedded message, you can do that using the .send function. Again, this time we're sending an embed, so we're going to specify this embed object, and there's all kinds of other things you can send, like an image, for example, or a sound effect, or a voice note, and the way that you send them differs depending on the type of object you're sending. Just showing you a different one so you can see kind of how versatile this is. Okay, next we're going to add a few reactions to this. So now that we have a reference to this message, we're going to say await pull underscore message, not .delete, but .add underscore reaction. Now to add the reaction, we can put in an emoji. So I'm going to go with like thumbs up. If you can't access these emojis, you can just Google them and you can copy them in here. I'm just doing this with the Windows plus the dot key or the period. So Windows plus period on Windows, obviously, will allow that to appear. I'm going to say await pull message .add underscore reaction. And then here, let's do a thumbs down. So we're going to go again, Windows period, and then thumbs down. And I can put that inside of here. Okay, I know I'm going fast, just because at this point it's kind of just, a bunch of features and there's so many to go over. But now we will do an embed message, we'll send this, and then we can react to the message after it was sent. It will take a second to do that, but that is fine. Okay, so here, what we can do now is we can rerun this. Let's go back to Discord. Let's give this a try and let's go dash or exclamation point poll. Is Tim the best? Okay, and then we should see it appears, takes a second, adds the reactions, and then we can react with either of these. Now, this is obviously not a true poll because a true poll you'd only be able to make one of these choices. And in Discord, you can make a poll now, but I'm not showing that particular feature. I'm showing the embed messages and then adding the reactions. So we kind of had, multiple features in one. Okay, quick cut because I completely forgot to mention this, but if you want to have your Discord bot running without your computer running or without you running it manually, because again, the Python script needs to be running in order for the Discord bot to be online, you need to deploy your Discord bot. Now, to deploy it really just means you need to keep running that Python script all the time, right? 24/7. Now, one of the easiest ways to do this for free is a platform called Render. I'm not going to get into a full tutorial on exactly how to do this here, but it's fairly straightforward. You can go to Render, they have really good documentation, and from here, like literally in a few clicks, you can just deploy that Python application that you wrote, and it will just run consistently. Now, obviously, there's pricing based on how long it's running and all of those kinds of things, but I believe you should be able to do this for free, especially if just a single Python script, and Render is the platform that I've seen a lot of people using. I've used it myself and been successful with that. So check out Render. And again, you just need that Python script to be running all the time. If it's running, then the bot will work. Okay, so there you go, guys. That is going to wrap up this video. All of the code that you see here, I will leave available via GitHub in the link in the description. I know this did not cover everything. You probably still have a lot of questions, but my point here was to get you started as fast as possible, give you the basics, cover some of the main things that I know you 100% are going to want to do with a bot, and kind of encourage you to explore further in the docs. Now that you have this foundation, it should make it easier to get started. Everything's set up for you. And if you want a more detailed Discord bot tutorial, let me know, and I'm happy to make another one. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you in the next one.